Good evening there, Lorain. How are you guys doing tonight? It's Aaron Knapp here. Doing a little podcast tonight again. I don't really have any rhyme or reason to this thing yet, so I do it when the moment takes me. And this is the moment taking me. So here we go. And so, sorry about that. X is texting me. We're here tonight to do a little podcast. We're going to do a little podcast on community safety. We're going to talk about the group home facility. We're going to talk about the child investigation procedures that go on in Lorain City. Some of this is a little personal. Some of it goes along with what's going on in the city today. Some of it is discussing some questions. We're also going to go over, what happened at this recent shooting event. So tonight we're going to talk about. Today we're going to be covering pretty much four significant topics. You know, a recent shooting at the Lorain Public Library, the confirmation or the confirmation and interest regarding, the Lorain group home that I kind of mentioned in the last podcast. A recent incident involving a child's drawings that led to a phone call from Captain Morris to yours truly from the LPD, and the ongoing issues with the potholes in the city of Lorain. And so let's start out. Let's address these shocking events that took place over the weekend. According to this, no, see what? No, I can't see anything. You are in. Oh, yeah, I can see it. Yeah, you are in it. You did it, Jane. Congratulations. Yay. So Jane's here tonight. Let's welcome Jane, everybody. She's been trying to get in. I switched over to this format mainly because I had it set up and it had been suggested that I do it. But what happened was Jane was having trouble logging in on Facebook, and other people were having trouble, logging in at times. And I know, I needed a separate stream that could kind of, lay this out for everybody in a generalized format for people who maybe didn't have Facebook or whatnot. So here we go. I'm not planning on doing a super long one today or anything like that, but I do plan on discussing a few things, kind of setting things up. And so we're going to talk about, first off, the shocking events that took place over the weekend. As I said, I got a little bit of a script here laid out that I want to try to stick to tonight to keep it a little organized. So if you see me kind of looking over here, it's because I'm checking into my script of things that I want to talk about. Obviously, I'll opinionate as I go, but we want to make sure that that this is set up right. So first off, like I said, we're addressing the incident that occurred at the main branch of the library on 6th Street. I know about as much as you guys do. I only know from what I read in the report, but it was said that officers were called to the scene just before 7:45 p.m. on Saturday, where they found a 14-year-old victim with at least one gunshot wound. Police provided medical until EMS arrived, and the teen was transported to the hospital. Great job, Lorain Police. You saved that kid's life until EMS got there, and then great job, EMS. You saved that kid's life. So I just want to say great job to all the first responders, the police that came out, that responded to this, because you guys did a great job. You saved this boy's life. According to Lorain Police Department, they stated that they'll remain committed to ensuring public safety, but that thanks to video evidence and witness interviews, the officers identified the 14-year-old suspect and arrested them during a traffic stop. Hope he wasn't driving. And it says that the team, my bad. That the Lorain Police Department said that the suspect is facing a charge of felonious assault with the additional charges pending. So Lorain Police Department stated that they remain committed to ensuring public safety and holding those responsible for violent crimes accountable. The investigation is still ongoing, and if anybody has any information, they are encouraged to call the Lorain Police Department at 440-204-2105. That's 440-204-2105. I don't know the status of the juvenile that was shot. I know it was asked in one of the other forums. So unfortunately, I can't provide that information to you. So, I just want to point this out. There was a debate on my politics page where some people were talking about it. One of my readers comes in and makes statements like, he made a statement that this parking lot has more bodies than the bars on 28th Street. Crass, maybe. Slightly truthful. I mean, if the shoe fits, I don't know. all I can say is that in the grand scheme of things, what it felt like was we shouldn't have this many incidences in a library parking lot. So I went ahead and I did the research and I posted it on the page. There have been several incidences at this library. Granted, not all of them, stacking bodies as it was stated in the page, but enough that it brings to concern, like, what's going on at this library, that this level of violence is escalating there on the regular. And what are we doing to stop it? Are we patrolling that parking lot? Do we have, what are we doing? Would be the bigger question. What are we doing? And so they posted in the news. It's a pretty big story. Kind of scary. I have a 14-year-old who we're going to discuss later. And it's these kind of things that make me scared, because she's like, well, I'm going to go to the library. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they had cameras at the library. They're safe there. So it just makes me, if you're a parent and you're sitting at home and you're thinking about this and you're like, well, yeah, like my daughter says, can I go to the library? Why is this the library? And I say, oh, yeah, sure. I used to think that was a safe place. Now it makes me wonder. But again, I really appreciate Lorain Police doing what they did when they came out there. They responded. They caught this kid and walked through area for a lot of traffic. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But then they had that incident at the library a while back where that person was stabbed too, and that person was inside. But I get it. In the grand scheme of things, it's slightly circumstantial. But I wanted to discuss it because it was something that came up, and I saw it in the recent posts, people talking about it. It is concerning. I'm concerned because I feel like these are our kids. We do need to do better when it comes to that. Now that we've got that out of the way, I would like to discuss something that's a little near and dear to my heart here. We're talking about a group home facility. So the owner of this group home facility reached out to me, and we had a conversation for quite some time. She's sort of associated with health and welfare, child and welfare, and has been for a while. She's been looking to open this group home. Now, the group home is looking to open up over off East 32nd Street in Ohio, which is in the 5th Ward. Now, I prior to speaking to her, I had heard some banter about this. I think I'd read something about it in some of the local pages, which is why I kind of keyed up to it when she called me. And basically, she said, "Hey, look, this is the problem. I've been at the I've gone to the city. I've gone through all the normal routes. I've gone to Ray Carrion. I've gone to the city building department. She's spoken to Evelise down there at the permits department. She's spoken to Law Director Riley and basically gotten oh, I'm busy. Click. Oh, I got a meeting. Click." So basically, after reaching out to her council person, the law director, Ray Carrion, the safety director, I think she said she even spoke to the mayor, as well as the state herself. Like, she went to the state. And so they went to the board, and my understanding from the explanation I was given was this. She went to the board because at the original hearing that they did, and I feel like they did a story on this, they discussed, and it was like 6 to 8 people. And everyone agreed, the council agreed that they could do what that was. The problem is, then she said, well, I want to move it to 10. So apparently from 8 to 10, it makes it a bigger issue. And that becomes the problem. And so you start dealing with the I'll take them off for a minute just because of the glare. But 8 to 10, you're dealing with the 8 to 10, and you're looking at it from a standpoint of, she wanted to move it up to 10. And then the city was like, whoa. So there was some back and forth, as there is with Lorain City. And I think maybe some feelings got hurt. But the the person that was trying to run it basically said, well, all right. So she wrote the state. She got the letter. I've read the letter. She got a letter back from, I think it was Sarah Simpson or maybe it's Sarah Simpson that sent it to me. I think it's Sarah Simpson that sent it to me. I'll have to double check that. But she gets a letter back from the state that basically confirms that she can have this facility as they've asked. And that's where she's at right now. Like, she's like, hey, so I know you don't want me to have the 10. And the reason behind the 10, my understanding is, again, I got to do more research into this. I'm going to help write something up for them. But I'm just bringing it to the forefront right now in a quick podcast tonight because I want everybody to be aware. There was some questions asked of me after that last podcast about this scenario. So I really wanted to put something out tonight just to kind of really talk about that. And that's the bottom line with this is that Sarah, this letter, let me just rephrase that. This letter that they got from the state said, yes, you're approved for this many clients, up to 8. And the argument was with 10, there were so many feet at this location they're at from a substance use disorder or some sort of a drug and alcohol facility. Now, the problem is in their mind is that that they can't be that close. It's like 1,200 feet and they're 800. But I believe there's also some question about like whether or not it applies to that type of facility. So the facility is located at 514, East 32nd Street in Ohio. The home will serve as a refuge and a support system for children who need structured care, guidance, and stability in their lives. However, there have been some delays in securing the necessary permits in Lorain, which, from me watching other podcasts like Madhouse, where they talk about the difficulty that they have had in securing permits in the city of Lorain, the difficulty they've had, and the one guy's like uncle wanted to open a eatery or something, and the level of permitting that they had to go through was just so much that they just couldn't bring anyone in. So that seems to be what's going on here. The owner has spoke with Evelise Atkinson, the planning and zoning administrator for the building, housing, and planning department. She also has contacted Ray Carrion, law director Riley, and her council person in an attempt to resolve this matter. However, there have been delays in securing these permits. But yes, we talk about group homes. They can help communities. They provide care for youth and supporting the community, and here's how. So they support child welfare. Group homes are a key part of addressing child welfare issues. I don't think any one of us here in Lorain can argue that there are child welfare issues going on. We lean on the county a lot for that. We send them out to the county facility. It provides a safe space. They offer a structured environment where youth can receive personalized care. They foster socialization. So group homes, they help youth develop a sense of togetherness that can aid in therapy. They provide community access. These homes are community-based, allowing youth to attend school, hold a job, and participate in local activities. So when group homes are utilized for youth who require services that are not available in less restrictive environments. So these services may address behavioral, psychological, or substance use needs. Group home considerations. So while group homes serve as an important function, they are not a substitute for family care, and they should only be used on a time-limited basis. Federal policy mandates that group home placements be time-limited, trauma-informed, and family-focused. So keeping that in mind, like this would be time-limited. These juveniles would not be staying there consistently. Finding the right care, the best treatment approach for a child depends on their individual needs. It is essential to consult with healthcare providers and therapists to determine the best course of action. So all these kids would be referred in by, proper healthcare providers, mental health providers. And when we talk about that, we go back and we look at, she got the okay. She got the okay from the state. She got the okay, had everything in place, and now they're just pretty much like floundering. They're floundering in this waiting period of trying to figure out, like, are we going to or are we not? And I don't think anyone can argue that we need more support for juveniles in the city of Lorain. And again, this podcast isn't about my run for council, but I can't help but think that, running for council, people are coming to me now and they're asking for this help. Now, I looked her up and she is in the 5th Ward. And I'm well aware that there's someone in the 5th Ward now, and there's also someone running for the 5th Ward. Now, the person in the 5th Ward office, I would caution you, maybe you should reach out to her and talk to her, because this gives your opponent a huge opening to really discuss the fact that we need this in Lorain. I mean, and at the bottom line is the council already approved the eight seat permit. So when she went to get the 10, and you guys didn't like that, or 12 or whatever it was, so you pushed her back down, and now you're saying 6. And she's like, well, what happened to the 8? Oh, well, now we're just going to say 6. And then when she argued about the 6, they just stopped talking to her. For a council that talks about, all the time, they're talking about, we want to bring in new business, we want to help the community, we want to do the right thing, we want to do this, we want to do that. And what are we doing? What are we doing when the guy at the Doghouse's uncle wanted to open a restaurant and he got ran out? I bet you they made exceptions for that new anchor restaurant at the Broadway Hotel. Not everything's about Broadway and downtown. I don't understand why this group home is meeting with such resistance in a town that needs this kind of a facility. Like, why exactly would you not want a group home like this helping our kids? Now, I can attest to this. As a social worker and a therapist, I can say, look, I've worked in these environments. I worked with the criminal justice system. I worked at Crossroads. I worked with Renounce, Denounce. I'm well aware of, Men of Courage. I'm well aware of the programs that are available to our youth. I'm also well aware that 44% of our juvenile justice population is made up of people of color, particularly people of African American descent. I'm also well aware that they only make up 22% of our population. So I always ask, why does 22% of our population's juvenile population make up 44% of the juvenile justice population? And don't tell me, oh, you know what, I'm not even going to say it. You guys know what I'm going to say. Like, those are excuses. We're not going to use those excuses. And, I've heard cops say to me before, what do you want us to do? Not police high crime neighborhoods. Well, I would argue you make them high crime when you police them. Are you saying that South Lorain doesn't have crime? That you have to just patrol, like, certain streets? Now, I would point out that this building that they've got on East 32nd, they got because specifically it met the zoning requirements that they had. They did all of the things required. They put their time and their effort into it. They're trying to help Lorain, and the government is giving them grief. Ray said, oh, I'm going to be out for a little while. So, yeah, he went on vacation. He went on a cruise with Antonio, to my knowledge, and this took a back seat. I get it. Do people deserve vacations? Yes. But, hey, I don't know. Mike, who's that? Who's Mike Jones? You're losing me there, Jamie. You said Mike Jones. Mike Jones. I don't know. All I know is that that the bottom line is that why would we not want this, and why would we not, want to ensure that we're getting these kind of services run through quickly? And so when we're dealing with that and we're looking at, this is something that we need in Lorain, and I don't understand why that there's a lot of feedback, and I don't understand why they're giving this person so much grief, because she went out, she got all the necessary permits, she did everything that she needed to do, and basically still got, hold on a second. I don't, okay. If you're just going to keep repeating yourself, let's just. We're going to give him a little 5-minute timeout. Because I don't like repeat messages. If you want to ask a question, be clear what your question is. Put it in there and let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to just block who. I don't know who Mike Jones is. So you want to watch, that's great. But, oh, I see. Okay. So look, we got some fun people coming in now. I see what it is. We're gonna just. But anyway, the bottom line is that this is something good that I think we should be doing. I'm gonna go ahead and look into it a little bit deeper. I'm gonna draw some stuff up on it, and then we're gonna get it taken care of. So I really think you guys should look into this. If you live in the Fifth Ward, you should call your Fifth Ward council person and maybe talk to them about setting this up, because it does feel like something good that needs to be done. And they will, I know. Hey, look, there's Mike Jones. But I think that we need to look deeper into this. And if you're actually in the know, and you can call your council person in the Fifth Ward and then discuss that with them, then I think that you should do that. Pretty sure this is who this is. Yeah, I know. So go ahead and check it out, guys. Figure out why we're not doing this in the Fifth Ward. Figure out why this particular group home is being so difficult, and why they don't want to give them the permits, and why our law director won't call them back, and why vacations are more important than getting this done. These people are investing in our city. I feel like we should probably take that seriously. So when we talk about people not investing in our city appropriately, this is what happens. These people want to come and do something good for the kids that need it. I have some experience here. I've worked with establishments that do this. I understand what it's like to be a kid in a foster care system or in one of these homes. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good thing. And we need stuff like this to help these kids feel some form of structure, or some sort of understanding of what they're actually doing in the community. They need to have some guidance. They need adults that can actually guide them through these processes, and these group homes provide that. They also provide a connection to services, and that's the biggest thing. They have a connection to getting therapy. They have a connection to getting everything that they need done. And in the grand scheme of things, that gives the youth access. They'll usually have a vehicle that can transport these people to their appointments, can make them, make sure that they get there on time, can give them some sort of a safe avenue to be involved in the community and to participate in not only school, but school functions, after school functions, give them some sort of semblance of life. And that's the thing. It just, why not? Why don't they deserve that? So if you live in the Fifth Ward, I strongly suggest you call. Even as the Sixth Ward Council, or as the Sixth Ward, as running for Sixth Ward Council, I plan to advocate for this. Again, the facility is located at 514 East 32nd Street in Lorain, 44055. The home will serve as a refuge and a support system for children who need structured care, guidance, and stability in their lives. And I just feel like, why wouldn't we want to do this? I'm going to see if I've got the email address included in here. Or the name of the facility. Because I know they sent me a letter, but I guess it's just the one. Wait. Well, I guess they only have the one there, but I'm just trying to see if it's got the name of what they're doing. The self-reported address of the group home facility is 514 East 32nd Street, Ohio. It says, please be advised that the accordance to the Ohio Administrative Code Rules 5101 semicolon 2-1-01B61 and then 51012911 C and D, a DCY certified agency can have up to 10 children placed in a group home facility for ages 6 to 21. Children placed between ages 18 to 21 must have documented physical or mental impairment, mental or psychological disorder such as intellectual disability or physiological disorder or condition. The youth who turn 18 in placement can remain placed in this home if they graduate by their 19th birthday. So they're not going to age out immediately, which is nice. And then it says, please contact me if you have any further questions. And then Allison Walters, licensing certification specialist, DCY, childandyouth.ohio.gov. She is the administrator and board president, is Sarah Simpson. And they got everything they needed to get. So I just don't really understand what the issue would be. Why they would think that they can't give this person their permit to have these 10 juveniles. The issue was they wanted more, and that's what caused the problem. And then they told her to get a letter. She went back and got it, and here we are. So anyway, just remember, guys, if you are in the 5th Ward, go ahead and advocate for that. I'm going to be doing more information on this as I get more information. I'm going to start doing some research on it. We'll make sure that we get everything squared away, and we'll get it put out there to everyone. As soon as I get it, you'll have it. Now, we're going to shift our gears a little bit. We're going to talk about an issue involving, my kids' drawings and law enforcement involvement. So recently, my child's drawings prompted a phone call from Captain Morris at the LPD. And in doing so, they revealed this investigation's results. Now, they were kind enough to tell me that they weren't going to put my name in this because nobody deserved to have their name in a report like this. I'll give you a little back feed. My kid has some issues thanks to some situations that occurred back when she was younger while she was with her mom. And that's the whole reason why we have this custody battle while we've gone on and we've dealt with this stuff. And my name's in a lot of reports in regards to her because of her ongoing trauma, her high ACEs scores, and the things that she has going on in her life, which we are consistently addressing. That being said, it's a difficult task. So I've been working with the school, and the school has my back, and it's amazing. I just want to give a quick shout out to Miss Jackson and Miss Morgan. They're amazing administrators at Southview Middle. Miss Jackson has been my daughter's, rock, and Miss Morgan has been like her pseudo mother, and has been there for my daughter through all of her struggles at Southview Middle from 6th grade till now. We've developed an amazing relationship. I love them. And I love the relationship they have with my daughter. And I've also been trying to teach my daughter to have a good relationship with the SROs and the school staff and everyone. She struggles. She struggles a lot. I'm sure a lot of you parents out there can understand with all of the influences going on, her trauma history and the things that have occurred during her life. She's had some stuff happen to her, and it's rough. I feel for her a lot. And I really want her to be able to succeed in this life. So I'm an active participant in her life. Well, in the day in question, she had drawn some stuff. I came in, and it was some graphic stuff, right? And this has been a problem since she was much younger. There's some deep-seated issues there, where that comes from. But she draws, and drawing is her outlet. And so she drew some pictures that were sexually inappropriate. And, I'm a therapist and a social worker, so it didn't shock me or surprise me because I know what she's got going on. But I went ahead and I addressed it in the school in a meeting with the principal and the assistant principal and the school therapist or counselor. And in that, I told her, listen, you can't be drawing or writing stuff like this. And as your dad, I have to put my foot down with, I'm typically the soft parent when it comes to things because I have a lot of parental guilt because of what happened to her, and the therapist and me trying to eeps out a lot. But all that being said, um, I went in hot that day, knowing what she had done, knowing what it could lead to, knowing that another student saw it, and knowing that my daughter's on a behavioral IEP for these very issues that she has. She's in the class for kids that have behaviors issues. Full disclosure. And we've been working, and the principal is like, everything's been amazing. This happens. I roll in. I make a statement of, if you're not willing to watch, so here's the backstory. And for those of you out there that are parents, I want you to take this piece of message to heart. I thought, look, I've got her on a Gab phone. It blocks everything. Like if she even sends a cuss word, I get it. It blocks it and comes to my phone and shows me what she's messaging. So it's not technically violating their privacy unless they actually have it set up where, unless she says something that's going to get it flagged. And a lot of the software is still in its new infancy. Like the other day, she took a picture of her hairline after a haircut, and Gab thought it was something dirty, so it blocked it. Computers and tablets and stuff is a different story. So when she got on the internet, even though I had up all the blocks and safety protocols, these kids figure out ways around everything. And I'm pretty smart with computers. This kid's pretty smart. I love her to death. But she circumvents my security on my internet protocols all the time. So currently she doesn't even have access to her tablet. I took it away because I found out, and this is the message for all you parents, my daughter has been using Pinterest to access the internet. And so even if you put up blocks on your internet protocols, use child safety protocols, only allow them kid access apps, she signed into Pinterest. And, because she's into art, I was like, well, no big deal, right? Let her see Pinterest. And the program, the profile for the kids stuff was like, Pinterest is fine. Well, come to find out, these kids found a way that they can backdoor through Pinterest to get online and look at stuff. So my daughter in the past has looked at inappropriate stuff. Once we caught it at the school, we've addressed it every step of the way. We've done this the right way, every step of the way. My daughter is in therapy. She speaks to her therapist weekly. I take her to therapy weekly. I'm actively involved in my daughter's school and her education process, and everything's great. Fast forward to this day, she says this. So my response to her was, if you're not willing to watch these things, see these things, draw these things, say these things, talk about these things, or show these things to me, or your dad, then you shouldn't be willing to say, talk, or share them with others. And the matter of that day was that she had drawn something that another child had seen. And she was trying to basically circumvent that by saying, well, but he shouldn't have been looking at my drawings or my personal drawings. I said, yeah, but these are not appropriate drawings for school. So I'm there parenting my child. Somewhere along the line, this story gets relayed to someone else. And in that story, it comes from what I said to apparently turning into, I said that I would basically watch, do I have to watch this with you again? As opposed to, if you wouldn't watch it with me or feel comfortable with me, then you shouldn't feel comfortable sharing it with anyone in particular, including maybe yourself because you're not old enough. Now, I've already shut all of those portals down. She doesn't have her tablet anymore. For you parents out there, just know if your kids have Pinterest, you better go check. I mean, she's done a couple other things, but the Pinterest one was the one that I couldn't even have fathomed that she was using Pinterest to backdoor my security systems. So anyway, Lorain City Schools policy on that kind of stuff is to contact CPS, which I would have been totally copacetic on because you're mandated reporter, right? If you hear something weird that you think is weird, then you mandate report it. But nobody thought it was weird. The people that participated in the conversation didn't think it was weird. The principal, the assistant principal, didn't think it was weird. But somebody did, and they apparently referred it to the SROs, who referred it to Captain Morris. Captain Morris calls me up, and he says, "Hey, just want to talk to you for a minute." So he's telling me about what's going on. And I said, "Hey, man, is it about this thing with city council?" He's like, "No." "Is it about this thing?" He's like, "No. It's about something that you're not even going to see coming." I was like, "Oh, all right." So he says, and he goes on to tell me, like, someone at the school reported that you said at the school that, do I have to watch pornography with you again? And I was like, what? That's not what I said. And I started to go into defense mode. And he said, no, wait. He said, "I want you to know that, you know, that I was told to follow up on it, investigate, and I did. We spoke with the principal, Miss Jackson, and the assistant principal, Miss Morgan, and they both confirmed that that wasn't what went down, and that you were an amazing parent, and that you are one of the active parents that comes in and helps and works with, Clarity, your daughter. Sorry, I don't, damn it, he that I used name. Anyway, I mean, her name's already been in the paper, so I guess it doesn't matter. And that, you were parenting." And he was very reassuring. He was very nice in the moment. And he felt the need to mention that it went to the chief, and that they, as it was a courtesy call to me, and that they weren't gonna, put it in a report, that would look bad or whatever. And I'm like, look, my name's been, I've got a whole file over here in this filing cabinet full of stuff in my custody battle where things have been said about me by different people. And it's ongoing for 13 years, 12 years, I guess, because it's been quiet for the last 2. So those kind of things don't surprise me. Because my daughter has struggles and I've had to work with her a lot, it never shocks me when these things come up. But it shocks me when protocols aren't followed. So you call and you tell me this. Now, I know me and the kind of guy I am. I'm mad at the school, right? Like, I thought we had a relationship. You knew that, that's not what was said, right? But I also knew that Morgan and Jackson had nothing to do with that. They're great people. They're amazing educators and administrators. They've done an amazing job with my child over this last 3 years. Well, technically, I guess 6th to 7th, 7th to 8th. Well, I mean, yeah, all of 6th grade, all of 7th grade, now almost all of 8th grade. So two and 3/4. Miss Morgan's done a great job of emotionally nurturing Clarity, since her name's already out there. And Miss Jackson's done a good job of being, the rock at times. And my daughter hasn't been out of school suspension at all this year. That was counted as an out of school suspension. She's had her struggles, but this is the first, like, the big incident that she had recently. She had one that led to this after Friday. But I feel like this is struggles that she's struggling with, and we're all aware, we're all on board. So fast forward to Mr. Morris Captain Morris telling me, "Hey, the chief, I thought I was going to fight him on this, but he was really cool, like, about everything, and said, no, we're not going to put this on this man." Like, but then I emailed the school and I'm like, "Hey, just this came out for everyone's sake. I just feel like, it just needs to be moving forward. I won't have discussions with my child at the school in front of people because I don't want to be misquoted." And they were like, "Well, if someone misquoted you, like, I apologize, but, to our knowledge, no one from the school called." And I was like, "Well, it wouldn't matter. I mean, like, you have a mandated obligation as a reporter. I get that. Like, totally down with mandated reporting." And so I said, you would have to do that. But I thought it strange that if you had a finding that was no finding, why call and tell me at all? Now that I started to research, and it looks like that by law or by rule, technically, the police would have called should have called CPS, and CPS would have decided to staff it or not. And then if it was non-staffed, then no big deal, I guess. But there is a rule that says that parents have a right to know or should be contacted by CPS if a report comes in that was brought up against them that doesn't go through. Um, you know, but it was brought to me as if we were doing this to protect my reputation. Listen, I'm not going to hide this stuff from people. I don't have a desire to to get special treatment. I don't have a desire to, protect my name. I'm here to protect my daughter. My daughter is struggling with a lot of different things that I'm going to be there for her as I always have been, and I'm going to continue to be there for her. But all of this has led to some unique questions that make me question, what are we doing? So with LPD, technically, and Lorain City Schools policy would be to call not LPD on this, but to call CPS. So more than likely, it was a newer repairer that works there that might have called or something. I don't know, but I'm congratulating them and applauding them for calling. I'm just not happy about the way it was handled, and I'm not quite sure that it should have gone down that way. And my example to Miss Jackson was, I'm a pretty level-headed parent when it comes to my daughter, when it comes to the school and accepting punishment. I said, what if it was, a different parent who maybe isn't quite so level-headed? They get this call. Now, maybe they don't get this call because they're not, me. But I got this call. What if they got this call and then they come in hot? Now, did they tell me nice things that the principal said about me? Yeah. But I fully expected that. I love Miss Jackson. I love Miss Morgan. They're amazing people. They're amazing educators. They're doing a great job for Lorain City Schools. I when I went in to speak with the superintendent and all my emails with him, I've congratulated them on all of their successes at Southview Middle since Miss Jackson came on, and I feel like they're doing a great job there. Our problem was, and again, I met with them later too, and our overall problem is, and is going to be, is that it ruins the trust developed between the staff, the administrative staff, and everything. And as we all agreed, it's my child's fault for engaging in the behaviors that led to this, but it's also a failure on our parts as the adults, as the administrators, as the educators, as the father, as the police officers, in the way this was relayed to somebody on a Friday over the phone. It could have been maybe relayed by the staff at the school, or maybe it could have just not been relayed at all. If it was an unfounded report, I feel like if it's not the law that you have to tell me, why call and tell me? If not to say, we could have done something and put your name in this report regardless, but we didn't. When that's said to me, it makes me feel like I owe somebody something. So I'm doing this story now just in case that's what that was. I don't want to owe anyone anything. I want you guys to know, like, yes, my daughter drew some pictures that were not appropriate for work or school. She has been doing this for a while based on the traumas that she's had, and we've been working on it diligently with all people involved. And we don't punish children for the things that they struggle with like this when they're getting help. So the teachers and the staff knew that. I think this was a new staff member, but the breakdown comes in that Lorain City Schools policy is not to call Lorain Police on these kind of things. And the fact that the police were involved, and the fact that a high ranking officer felt the need to call me and tell me this, and the fact that they made a big deal out of telling me the chief said don't do it. Well, I mean, if nothing else, this is a payback. He owes me for the social security number thing. But they made it sound like it was some big favor they were doing me by not putting it in a report. Well, why would you if you investigated it and it wasn't report worthy? Now, if you want to put it down that someone called in and said that, then that's fine. But then the problem becomes that, that report becomes available to me. And you obviously don't want that. So we're going to read some things here real quick about that. So according to LCS policy, Children's Services should have been contacted, yet LPD and their LCS or SROs were also involved. In Ohio, if a child endangerment complaint is filed with the police and investigated with no finding, the police are required to notify the parents of the child about the complaint and the investigation's outcome. So I do believe that most likely Lorain PD did the right thing by notifying me. I don't know that, and again, I'm taking that from AI. I don't know if there's a law on that. But when talking with the school, the discussion was we don't call LPD for these kind of things. We call them, if we find drugs, if this happens, if that happens, then we call. Um, so this is because all child abuse or neglect reports must be. Oh, that's what it says. It says the police are required to notify the parents of the child about the complaint and the investigation's outcome. And this is because all child abuse or neglect reports must be referred to the appropriate child protective agency, PCSA, which has then the duty to inform the parents of the investigation's findings, even if no abuse was substantiated. So if there was something that came up, that's the way it would have had to have gone through. Now, I've dealt with CPS numerous times for my kid, numerous times for the calls with my ex and her situation. So I could have handled that. But whatever, it is what it is, right? I just want to get that out there. Like I'm not gonna be, like I'm not going to have this holding like hanging over my head. My daughter drew something inappropriate and it was handled at the school level. We all handled it as a group. It takes a village. Miss Jackson, Miss Morgan, myself, Mr. Lorco all handled it. Somebody caught wind of this, whether it was my kid talking about it or somebody hearing it out of context, said something out of context, contacted LPD. The way it was brought back to me was in a manner that felt very, no, we got something on you. If you did something wrong, we would have thrown it out there for you. We all know if you guys had something, you would have done something. So instead, you turned it into this, and that's cool. But you weren't doing me a favor by telling me. If nothing, you created a wedge between me and the school, or at least would have if I didn't already know and love Miss Jackson and Miss Morgan so much for their help for my daughter, because my daughter is a handful. She's smarty pants, and she's her dad's daughter. So it becomes very difficult at times to parent her. But we stay on top of it. I don't work a ton of hours anyway just to be here with her. I've given up a majority of my life, in my later life, in supporting her through these things, as I should, because I'm her father, and she lacks a good mother figure in her life and is constantly reaching out for that. And again, we've had these issues with these drawings and these over sexualized behaviors and these trauma behaviors that come along with any child that has high ACEs scores, and I understand why it's there. So I've asked, later after thinking it through, speaking to the captain on Friday, talking to the staff today, Miss Morgan and Miss Jackson, and understanding that my daughter is getting in a lot of trouble right now. And I think a lot of it stems from this issue and from some other issues about summer coming up and her possibly going to see her mom. But with these issues coming up, there was another one popping up this morning, and all of it revolves around drawing. But as I'm down there, I go back later that day to talk to the staff or to Miss Morgan and Miss Jackson, and we just kind of hashed over this. And I would like to sit down and meet with school security and the SROs, and maybe, you know, uh, um, maybe the people that were involved in this investigation, and find out where we failed to verify this. In my opinion, so if I have a mandated reporting event, typically speaking, I'm going to reach out to my supervisor first, unless I'm a master level clinician. In this case, if it was the person I think it was at the school, which was maybe a para or somebody, they should have gone through Miss Morgan and Miss Jackson first. They would have already known what happened. They would have already been able to clarify the situation, the scenario, but that didn't happen. So whoever did it contacted the SROs. The SROs contacted, um, Captain. Why am I forgetting his name now? Morris. I keep wanting to say Captain Mitchell. I mean, not Mitchell. Morgan, um, but so Morris and then Morris contacts the chief. And then the chief says, do the investigation. They do the investigation. It comes back, glowing that I was just being a good parent and that I didn't say that. And then I'm told that it was a good thing. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. But there's policy in Lorain City Schools, and the policy is usually called CPS. And they probably would not have staffed a call like this. I know they wouldn't have, because the probation officers used to have me call as a social worker in order to get CPS to respond. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like someone was trying to say we did you a solid. Well, I did you a solid when I told you about your social security number, so we'll just call ourselves even. Now, I'm glad that got handled. This is going to move forward. We're going to discuss this with the school, and I'm going to figure out what their policies are moving forward, because mandated reporting is mandated reporting. Police officers, as well as school teachers, are mandated reporters, and if they report any suspected child abuse or neglect to the appropriate PCSA. The investigation, once the report is received by PCSA, they are required to investigate the complaint and notify the child's parents of the investigation's outcome, including no abuse was found. Confidentiality. While information related to the case is confidential, the parents of the child are still entitled to the information of the report and its disposition. So, there you go. Now we're going to roll on to the next one, which will be about another pressing issue, and that's going to be the potholes in Lorain. And I know we've been talking about these a lot lately, but the potholes in Lorain. So potholes in the city of Lorain are a major concern, with residents expressing frustration over what they see as ineffective temporary fixes. Fairless repairs, the Fairless repairs are just fillers, and they just don't last. They made some repairs, over the last day or two, that Miss Jackson noticed, because when she was coming into school, she said she bent a rim almost, and then yeah, and they're using Oreo cookie crumbs to fill it. I get it. I get you, Garen. And so what ends up happening is she dented a rim possibly coming in today, but I pointed out they had filled them by mid afternoon. But again, it's just these patches that they keep doing. They did the patches down there, and they did a few more down a little further. But once you get down to Willow, and between Willow and the stop sign at Tacoma, it's just horrid. And like, I was driving home with my daughter the other day, and I'm like driving all the way out around the lines, and my daughter's like, maybe if I call them, they listen to me, Daddy, and tell them to fill the potholes. And I was like, that's not gonna work. They're not gonna listen to a grown man who pays his taxes and property taxes and lives here. They're not gonna listen to a 14-year-old child who's getting in trouble. But so they filled up some of these potholes. Now, when I look back at what's going on, that it's just making these road fillers don't last, and it's making road conditions just as hazardous in a very short amount of time. So then we have the chunks and the leftovers all over the roads that we don't get cleaned up. So according to a May 2023 study by software company Teletrack Navman, the Northeast Ohio roads rank among the worst in the country. The city's officials here in Lorain acknowledge the problem, and they've promised improvements. Back in January, the city property manager, Lori Garcia, announced that Henderson Drive would be closed for extensive pothole repairs. Additional patching is planned for West 21st Street and other areas. Now, while these efforts are appreciated, our residents remain skeptical at the longevity of these fixes, because they're not sustainable. Many argue that the city needs a more comprehensive road improvement plan rather than just relying on temporary patching. But the question remains, will these repairs be enough, or will we continue to struggle with these deteriorating roads in Lorain? And I think we will. I think we're going to continue to have all these problems in our roads, and everyone wants to say, hey, it's this, it's that, it's the it's the fact that we don't have the money, or the government pays for this, or we do this, or we do that. Listen, I've been complaining about these roads over here by my house for 3 years, and nothing's changed. Nothing. The aprons suck. The roads suck. I have someone in my ward that's been reaching out to me, a registered voter, happens to be a Republican voter, but he's telling me, I'm out here, and my alleyway is trash, and my apron's garbage, and the neighbor's dogs across the street, they just leave them out front. They're just pooping all over the yard. They never clean it up. Like, it's just this, it's that. I call the city, and they don't listen to me, and they don't return my calls. Or, what do I do? Who do I contact? No one's listening to me. They don't even answer their emails half the time. But, you know, while these, like I said, when you think about our roads and you look at what we've got going on and you go, well, if our cars are being destroyed, I mean, the other day I saw a post online where they were saying that they wanted to do a class action against the city for the road damage, and everyone was laughing at them. I mean, technically they can do that. They find a lawyer and they find people. There's and there's laws and case law that will substantiate that. So if they want to spend their money on you know fighting lawsuits, or would they rather spend their money on fixing the roads? I feel like if we're asking Lorain and we look at past history, the answer would be on fighting lawsuits. I, for one, would like to see us stop fighting lawsuits and just fix the streets. So I don't understand why, I get it. We've got these regraders and we're looking to buy the resurfacing material to do it on our own. And we spent $56,000 to get it redone, and to buy this machine to do it. I get it. I get it. You guys want to keep a lot of stuff in house, but these roads are destroying us. And no matter how many go-kart tracks you build or restaurants you build, if you destroy your car trying to get to it, like, how are people going to get to the Broadway Aerial Motel? That's what I'd like to know. How are they going to drive there? Are they gonna like just like magically float there? They're gonna have those, floating cars in Lorain, and we're gonna float over all the potholes to get to the anchor. We're gonna float over all the potholes to go to even the American Legion and all these other areas. Now I'm scared to. I won't ride my bike in Lorain. We ride outside this area because it's dangerous. I'm not gonna continue to tolerate this. I go back to what the Madhouse guys said when they said to Antonio, in that visit where he was there, where he was like, they said, why don't you at the end of every meeting just say, hey, these roads need to be fixed? They're right. Why don't you? So that's what I'm gonna do. Don't think I didn't notice that when my counterpart came in and he started, advocating for the roads I've been advocating for. If my advocacy and my complaining helps you fix the roads that I want fixed, I don't care. I'm happy with that. Like, it doesn't bother me. So just understand that people are sick of these roads. The teachers are sick of these roads. Everyone's sick of these roads. Yeah, like Jane said, the roads on the west side are horrible in some spots. The roads are horrible all over. But in my case, for where I'm running, 6 wards where I'm concerned, and so for some that would come to me and go, "Oh, is that all you care about is 6 ward streets?" Well, like the guys at the Madhouse said, like, yeah, it kind of is. Um, when it's 6 wards that I'm representing. Now, on the whole, do I believe we need everything taken care of? Yes. You guys got to fix these streets if you want us to be able to drive to these venues. If you want me to take my time and worry about driving my vehicle to a restaurant in Broadway called the Anchor, then I'm going to need you to anchor yourselves down and fix these roads. I'm going to need you to give me something to drive on that's not ruining my car. I'd rather just brave the potholes to get out of this area and get to Sheffield Lake, and then get out of this area and go somewhere else where the roads are better. It's pretty sad when my daughter's like, Daddy, why can't we just sell our house and move somewhere where they have better roads? So for all intents and purposes, we all complain about the way that our infrastructure is, but the roads are one of the key infrastructure items that needs to be fixed in Lorain. And until we fix them, we're going to continue to have these problems. People are going to continue to have broken cars, broken hearts, and broken dreams. And that's all we're going to be the city of. It's not going to be the international city. It's going to be the city of broken cars, the city of broken hearts, the city of broken dreams, the city where if you disagree, you're shunned. The city where if you have a thought that doesn't go with the majority, they block you, they shun you. I get it. I blocked some people lately, but they were harassing me. We weren't having discussions. So, it just becomes this ongoing process that that becomes an ongoing problem. And so it, look, they came back. You gotta love them. Let's see. I think another one just came back. So one left, one will come back. We'll get some more posts here in a minute from our thing. I'm trying to finish this one up. I really only wanted to go an hour tonight, but we just got to keep dealing with these roads. We've got to keep focusing on what's going on with our roads. We've got to stay on top of this, guys. And as Jane always says, you got to go to these city council meetings. You've got to show up. You've got to hold your government accountable, whoever they may be. If it eventually becomes me, great. If not, then whoever it is, you got to hold them accountable. Currently, we know who our ward reps are. You can say what you want, but you have no further to look than them to blame who you want to blame. And for those talking about like law enforcement and streets and that our law enforcement deserve, 6-digit salaries. Listen, I'm not saying they don't deserve $100,000. I'm saying they don't deserve 234. Like, and I get it, sure, selling back vacation, whatnot, but come on, guys, let's be realistic here. We're not a $234,000 city. We're not even really $100,000 city. Like, if you want to pay officers $100,000, you're gonna have to cut down your officer staff. And yeah, I get it. That sucks. Nobody wants to do that. But that's what happens when you mismanage funds. That's what happens when you start giving everyone pay raises. That's what happens when everyone gets to put their hand in the bucket. That's what happens when the money runs out. And again, I looked into what chapter 9 looks like for a city. It's not pretty. I was looking at this, and again, this is why I thought in my head, I was like, well, I don't want to deal with this problem when it comes to fixing what Antonio left behind that we have to now vote and fix. I don't want to deal with the problems that we have that are now going to come up because we have to maybe declare bankruptcy if they can't figure this out. Let's see, bankruptcy in cities in Ohio. Sorry, I don't have like a fancy data guide. Try to get everything together, but so cities and companies have filed for bankruptcy. In 1978, Cleveland became the first city to default on its loans since the Great Depression. Well, there you go. You got some great stuff there. Big Lots filed for bankruptcy and it's closed. Other companies. So House bill, like, is this House municipal income tax critical to a city's budget? House Bill 197, adopted in 2020, provides that municipal income tax revenue will continue to go to the city where the employee's empty office is located. Oh, that's not. Well, the bottom line is I looked up a bunch of information on bankruptcies in Ohio, and it is possible it can be done, but they rarely do file for bankruptcies. Only like 29 cities, counties, or towns have taken the steps since 2001. But the trending is up in Ohio and across the United States. They're up, by 39% nationally and 29% in Ohio for regular citizens. So just understand that that's possibly where we're headed is financial insolvency. And if we get there, it's going to be problematic. So start looking into maybe figuring out ways we can reduce that, figuring out ways to cut that waste, figuring out ways that, we can put money back into our communities. Coming up in the future podcast, I want to discuss the relative theories on bringing in, marijuana shops because they're bringing back 36% of that revenue back into the local economy. I want to discuss these data centers that everyone's up in arms about over by the cement factory, which, wherever it is. I would totally steel mill. I would totally support that. I don't care if they're just big codexes, and I don't care if they only bring in 14 jobs. The amount of tax revenue that they would bring in, because they have to be taxed on the money that they generate. And if that's like Bitcoin mining or something, woo-wee, That would be some big money for us if there's already a power supply in place. That seems like a smart move. Yeah, wage cuts. Everyone's gonna have to take wage cuts in the city. We're literally gonna be broke. So guys, figure it out. Figure out what we're gonna do with all this stuff, because Lorain City is gonna end up going broke 40%. He said. So we're gonna have these issues, and I just don't see how we stay solvent with the pay being the way that it is with our government. And I don't see how we get out of this if we don't start tightening those belt straps, and getting it down. And I also don't see how we're going to make Lorain a better place and have more amenities if we can't step up and even do anything to help out a local, person try to start something to help out kids in our neighborhoods in the group home. So again, if you live in the Fifth Ward, check into this group home thing. Reach out to them. See if you can assist them. Check out my page. There'll be more information coming up soon in the near future about that. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight to LCPU. This is me, Aaron Knapp, reporting live and well from South Lorain. Remember, I am running for office for the 6th Ward. I'm the only Republican running in the city council. We also have Kyrese Brooks, who's running for the auditor's position, I believe, right? No, the law clerk. And so I support him. I want to throw out there that I support Harry Williamson. I support most of the newcomers. I think we should have newcomers and not all incumbents. And I think that we have some big changes in the wind. I think we have clerk of courts. Okay, yeah, there you go. That's what Kyrese is running for, clerk of courts. I support Kyrese in his clerk of courts race as a fellow Republican and the president of the local Republican group. So he's my guy. But start educating yourself, guys. That deadline is going to be fast approaching to make sure that you're registered to vote. So get registered to vote. Stay abreast of all the local news happenings. On a side note, just so you know, like they're not sponsoring me. I'm not getting any money for this, but I do feel that it's worth saying that we have Vermilion Daily and the Lorain Daily News that have been providing. Vermilion Daily has been providing a lot of county knowledge, as well as local knowledge. Lorain Daily as well, and they're brothers. They're running these newspapers separately of each other, but for the communities that they live in. They've taken a stance to come out and provide the stories that a lot of these other papers won't provide, and that you can read. And so they have a Patreon app. They take donations. They take monthlies. They do all this stuff. So make sure you guys check them out. I support them. I support everything that they're doing over there. Check out their pages. Go check out. Joseph. He's running the Vermilion page, and I love what they're doing. I love the news stories they're putting out. If you haven't already gone over there to like and add them on Facebook, check out their pages. They're providing a lot of great local stories for you, and I feel like we should really support them if we want to see those kind of stories continue. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This is Aaron Knapp. I appreciate you coming to Lorain Politics Unplugged, and I will see you guys next time. Remember, law enforcement, stay lawful, not awful. And for the rest of you, make it a wonderful night.